welcome back to a Two Penny Game Club, your monthly video game book club where we dive deep into a game to discover what about it works, doesn't work, engage just how great it really is. This is so that we can engage in an elevated conversation about games, irrespective of genre, age, or popularity, and ask ourselves, what is it that truly makes the greatest games of all time? This month, we are reviewing Ratchet and Clank Going Commando. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, alongside my good friends and co-hosts. Say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
Hello, I'm ready to review Ratchet and Clank Going Commando.
Going Commando.
Mm-hmm. The second one.
Connor, you have infamously, every time Phil and I bring up Ratchet and Clank, you always get confused as to which one's which, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, now that you've at least played Going Commando, you'll at least be like, all right, I know which one's which now?
I do now, of course.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. It's impossible to forget.
Now, do you think it'll get harder once we play up your arsenal?
No.
Oh, okay, great.
It'll be when the other ones, maybe, if we do those.
Of course, ladies and gentlemen, I also want to say hello to the people, fellow Ratchet and Clank fan, Phil Shoemaker.
Here I am.
I am.
I'll say Connor did a great job of being on theme. I don't have a joke for the first part, but he looks Ratchet is the joke. Yeah.
All right.
That was good.
Good
Set up
soon.
punchline, you know?
Yeah.
The same wrinkled seafood shop shirt that he wears every 3 weeks.
Look, I have these, so I flank them, and then he looks Ratchet. Yeah, there you go.
Now we're doing a lot.
Ladies
and gentlemen, of course, we want to hear your thoughts on the game down in the comments below and hear what about this game that you find interesting. Little backstory here. Ratchet and Clank Going Commando is one of the first video games I've ever played in my life. I think, it's hard to tell, I think it might be the first video game I ever beat in my life. Very, very difficult to recall. It was either that or maybe like Spider-Man 2 for the PlayStation 2. One of those two. Maybe like a Battlefront 2 campaign, just because that game's baby easy, you know?
I mean, it's such a non sequitur, but I think the first Spider-Man game I ever beat was 2018.
That's fucking crazy, dude. That's insane. Holy shit. How many Spider-Man games have you played?
I've played the first two movie games. I've played Ultimate Spider-Man.
Okay.
Spider-Man Friend or Foe.
Not a great one.
But
like fun for the time.
Web of Shadows?
Did you do any of like the Web of Shadows, Edge of Time?
Nope. None of those.
Any of the Amazings?
Nope.
All right. Well, yeah. I played every single one that has been named except for Amazing Spider-Man 2. The only one I didn't play.
Is that movie tie-in game, or is that just
the movie tie-in game?
But like, it was weird. It wasn't even tied to the movie.
The first game acted as a sequel to the first movie, which was strange. Still, the lizard was the final boss. And then I think the second one was a direct 1-to-1.
I remember people saying something entirely different.
I could be wrong. And Gwen Stacy's in it.
Yeah.
So, you know? I mean, maybe they have an alternate ending. I don't know. I didn't play it.
Spoilers.
You know? And then, of course, the Insomniac run. Fantastic. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about Ratchet and Clank. And, of course, Ratchet and Clank Going Commando, very, very big for me. Very big childhood game for me. Insomniac, still talking about Insomniac. I didn't even put that together, so you just looked at me like that. Phil, what is your history with... And, of course, we played the original Ratchet and Clank. You can go and see that review.
At this point, like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a cool minute. I asked you both to listen to it. I know you did. I know you didn't. Yep, I know. I asked you repeatedly to do it.
And when this podcast started, I was like, oh.
So, okay, good. So you were subtweeting him, not me. Because whenever you kept, like, whenever you're like, guys, please make sure that you rewatch the review, like in the chat.
It wasn't. That's not a. That was just. I know neither of you had done it yet, and I was like, please go do it.
But I was like literally about to do it whenever you did that.
No.
I was like, Jesus. All right, Mom.
No, you were not the one I was ever worried about. Right. It was this fucking idiot because he never does anything I ask him to do.
But yeah, no. As far as my history, you were just with Ratchet and Clank. That was the question, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I played the first one first at a cousin's house, and then maybe a little less than a year later, I got it for my 8th birthday. The first one. And then I got the third one. I did not play the second one until I was 14.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was significant time had passed And I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
This one's so funny because I got my PS2, and I definitely got Spider-Man 2 for the PS2. That's why I got the PS2 is for Spider-Man 2. And then it's like an assortment of like a couple of Star Wars games, like Lego Star Wars and Battlefront, that are like strung in there. Episode 3, the movie tie-in game, are strung in there. But Ratchet and Clank Going Commando, I know is in those early PS2 games that I was acquired.
It was definitely a post Kingdom Hearts 2 Phil that played Ratchet and Clank Going Commando.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I remember way long ago, like when I was very, very young, before I met this guy even, like, and before my parents were divorced, anything like that. I remember I had a friend over. I don't remember which friend it was. But my dad comes into my room holding Ratchet and Clank Going Commando and goes, "When did you get this?" And I look him in the eye and I go, "I don't know. I've always had it. Like, you got it for me. I don't know." He goes, "Really? I've never seen this before." I'm like, "I don't know, Dad. Fucking, I don't know. I like it though. Don't do anything with it." Connor, this is your first time playing Ratchet and Clank Going Commando.
It is. Not my first time playing Ratchet and Clank.
You played the first one with us here too.
I was forced to.
Yeah.
Just like I was forced to play this game.
I mean, your
Not that
opinion of Ratchet and Clank was positive.
It was.
You would know that if you would listen to the fucking video.
Believe me, Devin, I know it's positive. And this one's positive as well. Now, that being said, my experience with it beforehand was, like many games in my youth, seeing it on the shelf at GameStop and being like, I want to play that. Never did it.
Never did.
Other one, actually, it was one of the more foremost ones I would always note, because there was multiple entries. So I'm like, this is a big game. That and the original Nier, for some reason. That was the one I was always seeing around the game stores.
I just recently, probably on social media, but I saw box art for just Nier, and I'm like, that's a different fucking game.
Yes. This is
Nier's one of those things that, like, I feel like, because Automata was so big and huge, that like the internet wants to believe that the rest of the Nier franchise was big and huge, and I'm like, I've never fucking heard of this shit.
Yoko Taro is a fucking weirdo.
Well, there's only also one other Nier game. So it's weird. I know this is aside from the podcast, but it bothers me. Is
it not?
Nier Replicant is a remake.
Yeah. Oh. So the thing is, there are two copies of Nier. There is I can't remember what the names were back in the day, but there's an American version and a Japanese version. The only difference, to my knowledge, is the American version, the main protagonist is muscle-bound, and he's the father of this girl you're trying to find. And in the Japanese version, you're like a twinkier guy who's the brother of the girl you're trying to find.
Interesting.
And so in the remake, they went with the original version, but of course the one that you would typically find here is you're the dad version.
Well, in the remakes, from what I know, you start out kind of scrawny and then you become like a fucking
sounds
Chad.
like Persona 2.
That might be near. That's just because I'm not the most familiar with it, so I can imagine something like that happens. In fact, narrative things that I know happen must tie into that. Yeah. I only bring this up because I think we should play the original Nier instead of Replicant, because it's on PS3.
I mean, probably play both versions. Why not?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, Persona 2 is a duology also. Really? Yeah. Huh. Yeah. There's two Persona 2s, and the one is a direct sequel to the other.
We wouldn't be able to play we would only be able to play the muscle-bound version.
Oh, really?
Because that's the American version. The Japanese version, I don't think you can really get. To my knowledge,
they don't even have like an English thing or anything. Because the second Persona 2 game never came out in the West.
Yeah. I know stuff happened.
You can get like English versions of it.
Nier's, from my knowledge, a unique circumstance where it is just two versions of the same game. And it's only literally the only thing I understand is the protagonist is different.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Huh.
Yeah.
Here's
the relation.
Here's what we do. We play Drakengard, and then we play Drakengard 2, and then 3, and then we play Nier Replicant, and then we play Nier Automata.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all.
That's how it goes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ratchet and Clank Going...
Technically, yes, but...
Ratchet and Clank Going Commando came out November 11th, 2003 for the PlayStation 2, damn near to the day, an exact year after the first game. Go ahead.
I'm wrong, by the way.
What are you wrong about?
We would have to play Drakengard 2 and then 3 and then Drakengard 1 and then we play...
Or they're two different things.
I don't know what's happening anymore.
He does not know.
Ratchet and Clank Going Commando has a 90 on Metacritic in comparison to the first game's 88, so 2 points up.
That's wrong.
Sold as of June 2007, sold 3 million copies. Developed by Insomniac, published by Sony Computer Entertainment, and director/designer Brian Algier. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't do any of the development history for the first game because I just wasn't doing it at the time, and so I've started doing it. So I'm gonna catch us a little bit up. There's also not that much interesting Ratchet and Clank 2 dev stories to talk about. After finishing work on the Spyro platform game series on the original PlayStation, Insomniac originally intended to launch a game called I-5, Insomniac Game Number 5, for the PlayStation 2. The developers, however, were never enthusiastic about it, and the idea was dropped after 6 months, which is a long time in early 2000s game
Are
development.
you referring to Girl with a Stick?
It might have been Girl with a Stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think about that until you just said it, but yeah, it might have been Girl with a Stick. Ratchet and Clank was based on the idea by Brian Hastings, which would feature a space-traveling reptile alien who would collect various weapons as he progressed through the game. Ratchet's final form was decided upon after Insomniac considered a space lizard with a tail and various terrestrial creatures, including dogs and rats. Feline features stood out to the developers because of the associated sense of agility. Another early idea to have 3 small robots attached to Ratchet, which would perform different functions. However, Insomniac realized that having the robots was both complicated and created confusion about Ratchet's appearance, leading them to only have one robot, Clank. Shortly after changing the game from I-5 to Ratchet and Clank, Naughty Dog, who had also left Universal Interactive to start a new series, asked Insomniac if they would be interested in sharing the game technology used in Naughty Dog's Jak and Daxter, the precursor legacy from 2001, asking that Insomniac in turn share with them any improvements that were made. Insomniac agreed, resulting in most of the Ratchet and Clank engine technology being developed in-house by Insomniac. But some important renderers were developed by Naughty Dog. Looking back on the agreement, Ted Price said that, quote, Naughty Dog's generosity gave us a huge leg up and allowed us to draw the enormous vistas in the game. Some years later, Ted Price, who I believe is CEO of Insomniac today, clarified Insomniac's stance on the engine technology while obliquely mentioning the shared renders. Quote, we've always developed all our own technology. It's been a little frustrating in the past for us to hear people say, oh yeah, the Insomniac game is running on Naughty Dog's engine. People assumed that we were using Naughty Dog's engine for Ratchet, and that was not true. We shared some technology with Naughty Dog way back when, and that was great. But we are a company that puts stock in developing specialized technology, and we will continue to do so. And gentlemen, before we get into our big time reviews, all right, I got to say something. My adventure with this game was a little different than normal because we finished our Parasite Eve review. I had already installed Ratchet 2 and 3 onto the PlayStation 3 because I was like, I have a feeling that they're going to be coming up. Phil made Connor, because of a deal they had previously, to select Ratchet 2. So Connor selected Ratchet 2 for us, and I'm very excited about that. And pretty much either that night or the next day, after we finished recording Parasite Eve, I jumped straight into Ratchet and Clank Going Commando.
I'm pretty sure it was that night.
I think it was that
Yeah.
night. And I played for 6 hours straight. And then the next day I loaded up and I played for like another 3-4 hours. And the next day I loaded up, I played for like another couple of hours or whatever. And so basically within the course of like 4 days, I made it to the final boss. And then I stopped and I said, whoa, too fast. All right. And so I was like, you know what? I'll get to it in a little bit. I'm going to take a little break. I'm going to beat the final boss, and then I'll do some of the challenge run, which is the new game plus, where the enemies get harder and you can level up your weapons more, and you get access to more and specialized weapons that are only available in challenge run. But then I sat back and I thought to myself, I don't know if 2 playthroughs is enough. Because I'm having such a great time with Ratchet and Clank Going Commando.
Fuck yeah.
So instead of starting my challenge run on PS3, I went and I grabbed the world's greatest handheld device ever, the PlayStation Vita.
Wow.
And I loaded up Ratchet and Clank Going Commando on PlayStation Vita. And I played it, and within another, 3 days, I beat Ratchet and Clank Going Commando on Vita, and then immediately ran into challenge mode on there. And then the challenge run I took more time with, just because I was like, this is a lot of Ratchet, so I took more time with. Anyways, I beat Ratchet and Clank 3 times for this review.
Fuck yeah.
And I got the platinum trophy on PlayStation Vita, which I've
love
never
that.
had before. So I'm well prepared for PlayStation. I've never played a game more than once for the Game Club, and I'm so happy to be here today.
I've never actually
playing it.
held a Vita before.
Load it up here. I can we just turn this little baddie on. I'll tell you what, it runs a lot better on PlayStation 3.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Who would have thought?
Oh, so much better. Yeah, you can load up my save file and everything, whatever, to play with it. The triggers are the back touch, which is awful. Yeah, it's awful. You can like figure out how to use it, so it's not so much like a like how you think, but like basically like just cover the whole right side.
Fuck.
Yeah, that was my like best.
That's the strafe.
It's meant to be like this, like a quick little press
Yeah.
over, but I never found it would work like that. So
Okay.
I would just do this, and I
Alright.
would hold it like that to strafe.
All right.
So there you go. You can play with that. The PS Vita version has a lot more like frame issues. There's a lot more concessions in the game mechanically and so forth. Like the mini turrets function a little bit differently. I think the drones that follow you function a little bit differently. There's some like smaller concessions they make with like enemy types and variants and so forth that I found really interesting while playing this. But it's mostly the same thing. There is also a glitch where like in a lot of different planets, any landscapes would like black out and it would just show like the solar system, like stars and so forth. So like on Joba, the second Coliseum planet, on the taxi ride back to the ship after you leave the arena, fucking space. Like, and it's not the landscape it's supposed to be. But ladies and gentlemen, Ratchet and Clank Going Commando is one of my favorite games of all time. I love this game. It is, to me, when we talk about... What did you say?
You're in the Insomniac Museum.
Yeah. That was the last trophy I got. It is, to me, the peak example in this Game Club series right now of how fun, or of how far fun can take you in a video game. This is like, if your game is just fun, this is the current peak of like what just fun video game means to me right now. I think a lot of it's like additions from the original game, a lot of the weapons, the strafe being more streamlined into the control system, and then the way that they adapt to that by changing how the enemy NPCs work, how a lot of the weapons work. It's a lot less of Ratchet running in circle and a lot more of Ratchet strafing and dodging fire. And just a lot of the enemies function in ways that they just did not function in the original game. And I think that leads to a more visceral combat system. And that's really where Ratchet shines, is the combat and gameplay and the minigames. The additions of things like spacefaring combat, the Coliseum challenges, the hover bike races, those are so welcome here. The expansion on Giant Clank is so much fun for me. I just wish that they swung at least just as hard as they swung narratively as they did the first time around. I think it's pretty easy to say that Ratchet and Clank 1's narrative is the weakest part of the game. The character dynamic between Ratchet and Clank is a little
antagonistic,
but it's just awkward. It's just really, it's awkward. It's uncomfortable to see them so antagonistic towards each other. And so for 2, I think the developers really sat back and said, all right, well, we did the gameplay pretty well, but we think we could do it better the second time around. And I think they do. But we didn't do this so well, so let's just not even really focus on that. Let's give enough of a narrative to say that there is a story, but we're not really going to dive deep into characters, how they feel, what their desires are, what their wants are. It is a very basic, all right, Ratchet wants to be the hero, so here he is off on a heroic journey, and he's off doing these things. And then the plot twist at the end is as ham-fisted and like tacked on in development as it feels as the player. Like, it was literally like a last-minute decision for them to be like, oh, okay, well, let's just make Cork the bad guy. Like,
spoiler.
It was a last-minute addition, and it feels like it when you play the game. I also think this game was greenlit 5 months, Phil, right? 5 months before the original game came out. So this game had about a year and a half of dev time. I think you can kind of feel it. It feels like Ratchet and Clank 1 had more dev time. I think some of the atmospheric elements of the first game are, I don't want to say lost, but they're not as well felt here. I think a lot of the lighting and a lot of the levels can come off a little more flat. I think the design for some of the levels can be a little, can leave you wanting a little bit for more. And generally, I think there's just like a little bit of jank in this game that wasn't there in the first one. Specifically, what I mean is it's most notable to me in the music, because the music, instead of naturally looping, just hard restarts. It feels like I just hit the repeat button on Spotify and let it play in the background, as opposed to like naturally looping through. And then for me, the cutscenes, the transition from gameplay to cutscene is so abrupt, where I'm like, whoa, okay, we're watching a cutscene now. And then coming out of that cutscene, it feels the same way, where like they just don't feel married together in a way that I liked. That I do feel that way. That it was good enough in the first one, especially on PS2 expectations. And then I think a lot of the later levels range from like, this is okay, to a couple of them are not so great. And I think where Ratchet and Clank Going Commando shines, it shines really hard, but where it like takes a few missteps, it does. I like this game a lot more than the first one, just because it's so fucking fun to play. This is the most fun Ratchet and Clank game to play, in my opinion, even in comparison to modern day Ratchet. I do believe on replay, that's why I stopped. I downloaded Rift Apart and played the first few levels of Rift Apart as well. After doing that and having a direct comparison between these two, I believe wholeheartedly Ratchet and Clank Going Commando is the best Ratchet and Clank game, and it has not been topped since then, and which is weird because I feel like this is a bar that is achievable to be beaten. It's kind of crazy how 20-something years later, we've not beaten that bar when it comes to this franchise. So, but I had a great time. This one's going to be ranking quite high for me personally, not ridiculously high, of course, but this was some of the most fun I've had playing a game on this show, and certainly the most fun I've had in a while. Connor, how did you feel about your first time through Ratchet and Clank Going Commando?
Playing this one, thinking about the very first Ratchet and Clank game, this is a very classic example of overall, of course, give or take a couple of things, the sequel improves just objectively in every way upon the original. One big exception being the narrative. You know, I found that to be very lacking. I guess two, they're kind of tied together. I found the narrative and the humor to be found lacking. You know, I thought the character Fizzwidget, him constantly saying words that didn't actually make sense, but they sounded like words that are real, was the bulk of the jokes. And aside from that, I can't really think of any that made me chuckle all that much. And even the videos, I remember in the first game being very entertained by the videos that would play that would transition you to the next planet, and they'd be very funny. This one, again, main issue with the comedy, it never really did it for me. And the lack of any kind of cohesive narrative, it just kind of feels like going from point A to point B to point C without really a strong connecting thread between all of them. But that being said, I found the levels to be overall much more entertaining, and that's probably in large part also because I feel there's much wider variety of enemies to fight in this game. But specifically with combat, what makes it so great is the weapon progression system and the weapons themselves. Because in the first game, you clearly get to a point where you're like, I'm going to use these weapons and screw all these other ones. In this one, not only does it incentivize you to constantly switch weapons because you get an upgraded version of them by killing enemies with them, but they're all just so fun to play that you want to change them. And even when I would get new weapons, I would be upset because I'd have to focus on this one to get it to its upgraded form, and I have to forego the other weapons that I had been enjoying so much up until this point. But it never was done so to a point where I was feeling like I was wasting my time with a new weapon just because I wanted to get the new upgrade. I actually still wanted to find out what that gun was going to turn into. So that was very much an improvement from the original game. So was the strafing mechanic, because I remember I never used it in the first game, and it was kind of clunky. I didn't feel like it was the best at dodging moves all the time, whereas this one, it's almost a necessity for many of the combat scenarios you go through. But again, you're not really entirely relying on just strafing to the right and left to deal with all your enemies. You're being a bit more diverse with your weapon choices, going more into melee, which feels a lot better, and meteor as well in this game. And I also very much enjoyed the extra side content they did with the space combat. I found that even though it's very simple, and the game is simple and easy, it's, as Tavin said, it's very fun. It is a peak example of how fun video games can be without being anything really more than that. I found the robot sections with Clank, the big Clank sections, to be kind of not the most well thought out. There was I kind of felt like you could be a bit more fluid with how you played those segments until Tavin saw me playing it. It was like, no, you have to track down that spaceship that's constantly landing down new enemies to. But that wasn't the only.
There's two.
There's two. Yeah, there's two. There's
you
the
fight,
spaceship
you
and
fight
the other
merc guy
giant
and you get
robot.
his own big
the
mech.
thugs for less big guy.
Yeah, that one was more fun.
Yeah.
That fight.
I
The
agree.
the Spalien A ship wasn't much so. I much rather enjoyed the same sections of Clank where you're controlling all these little robots, getting your bridge building robots, your hammer robots, and that was Ratchet who was able to control the other robots. But aside from that, I mean, I didn't really think much of the music in this game. I know that's a small point to a lot of people, but it was serviceable throughout the game. The side content in the game, though, that definitely gives the game a lot more life to it. I can imagine if I was playing this game back in the day, I would act as Tavin did this time around, where I'd be like, all right, load up the next game, because the challenge mode that comes afterwards, it's nice to, once again, have another tier of weapons that you get access to that you can strive to unlock, and they feel very satisfying to shoot, just like the base guns do. Now, going back to that, I also do like how, more so with certain guns rather than other ones, like, for example, the plasma coil gun or the lava gun. Those ones, whenever you got their next upgraded version of them, they basically acted like entirely new weapons. The upgrades weren't just, it adds an extra little effect to, enjoy. It seemed like it changed it up a lot more.
I would say that for the plasma gun upgrade, that's a positive version. And then for the lava gun upgrade, that is one of the worst upgrades, upgraded weapons in the entire game.
Well, I don't think it's the worst, because this time around, I found like it kind of just became my main gun as opposed to the Lancer is the first gun you have. Yeah. Well, when that gun falls off damage wise, like the meteor gun does fill in that hole.
But
I agree with you. I like piss mode. Give me piss mode.
I love that mode. It's such a good like zoning thing, like, to like kind of keep
you can do that classic Ratchet spin in a circle.
The spin in a circle.
Yeah.
It's like the fact that they changed that, which future spoilers, they kind of like have a gun similar that they keep the same type of weapon, but like it just does a kind of like a slightly different effect on your enemies. Liquid nitrogen gun.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
Okay, yeah. I thought you were talking the whip.
No, well, I mean, there's that, but like it still stays a whip.
There's a whip, huh?
There is a plasma whip, yeah, which is one of the things that they cut out of this one because they couldn't figure out how to implement it.
To the next one.
They put in the third one, yeah. That's all I really wanted to add. So sorry, I wasn't trying to.
No, you're good.
Momentum. I just talking about the different and the weapon upgrades and how you like some of them and some of them aren't so good.
In Challenge Run, version 3 and version 4 of those weapons are basically just damage buffs.
Yes.
You do get more ammo though.
Yeah, it's always nice. Tavin was saying that exact same thing, but I found that even though it was cool at first, it kind of wore out its welcome, and I didn't really use it all that much. And then I found the damage output of the meteor gun was just so efficient that almost no real other gun compared to it, just in terms of damage per second and reliability in any kind of scenario. But other thing I'll say is the platforming sections I also found to be a bit lacking. I never felt challenged by them, and I feel like if you're going to really up the difficulty of this game, that's the moments where you should be doing it the most, because I think it's kind of one of those skills that a lot of people can get down with, more so than the combat, which there is a difficulty spike here, but I found, again, the guns being so effective that compared to the difficulty spike in the first game, it was much more manageable and equal, especially with I don't recall there being armor upgrades in the first game.
No.
There was not. Yeah, so those were nice as well. I guess that gets into a criticism. It's not one that I really have a strong, it doesn't affect the ranking of the game specifically, but it was, when we were watching Spider-Man, it became a little conversation within the theater itself, because the progression of how you get bolts, you have to do the side content to be able to really take full advantage of the arsenal. And I found that to be a bit disappointing, because the way we've kind of established with this game series is we are golden pathing it, basically. Playing the side content here and there, but not letting those impact the overall ranking and critique of the game overall. And in the theater experience we had, when I brought this up as a criticism, specifically with armor upgrades, because they're so expensive and you have to do the side, you really, really have to do the side content to unlock them. Tavin, specifically, your defense was, well, you have to play the side content, which flies in the face of what we've argued, or what I had to argue, what we argued in the past, specifically with Dark Souls. It's more important here because the side content is so premier and important to elevating the game beyond where it is just golden pathing it. But I feel like and we can get into this later with your section, Phil. I just feel like this is a game, in the context of the Game Club, it really shows that side content should be a lot more included in the ranking of a game, because for this, it's not affecting the rank of this one, but it's a critique.
I just want to jump in. I've never had that perspective on Game Club games that we play.
And I was just about to say, we had this whole back and forth on Friday at Jordan's, where he had this whole thing coming up to me about how like you were admonishing side content and how it shouldn't impact it. But the only time we've ever argued about that is when it comes to covering DLC and including that with the actual game and where we rank it.
The content of the game has always been my objective to cover.
No, I get, but I remember when we were talking about the side content of Dark Souls, the story progression. You were like, that's hard to do, and that's not the main game. Most people aren't going to experience that.
That was the conversation around DLC. Because you kept pushing the DLC as part of the game, and I kept saying that's not the same thing as the content.
No, I get that.
Now, granted, I didn't do a lot of side content in Dark Souls because it is so obtuse and like you have to like. I think that's where Dark Souls like plays into like replayability is like figuring out how to do all of those like subtle side quests in the game and so forth like that.
And I was framing it as like kind of from your side where I don't remember having this conversation where we were coming down on this. So I was like, I think this might just be Connor might just be misremembering something, which, you know, I misremember stuff all the time, but I've never once had us remember us talking about, oh, it's just side content in the game. We can ignore that.
I've also never poo-pooed side content. I mean, Yakuza 0, that is side content the game.
Yeah, maybe I was confused.
That's exactly what Jordan's comment was, because like I was even arguing that like some of the arenas aren't even really side content.
Maybe I was getting confused with the conversation when it comes into Dark Souls of melding in the side quest stuff in terms of like narrative, and then that bleeding into side content, but I mixed it up with the DLC, because now that you're explaining it more, I do remember it was more a conversation on the DLC. It was a conversation on the DLC rather than the side content.
It was so much just arguing with the wall and with Connor saying the exact same thing over and over again. And I'm saying exactly what I'm saying.
Everybody's intoxicated.
But he was just so like not in the most kind, loving way, so bullheaded about it. Like you're just saying the exact same thing over and over again. We're not moving past this. This didn't happen. You're misremembering. Just keep on.
Dark Souls specifically, the conversation was the DLC. Yeah, is because we played the remastered, which packaged in the DLC, and then Scholar of the First Sin for Dark Souls 2 did the same thing. Connor's perspective was always, well, I mean, most people are going to have that package, so it's Connor's perspective was the DLC had become post-release had become side content naturally, and I said, but the game. My focus being on what was the impact of the game on the industry. The DLC didn't do it. The game did it. Yeah. You know, and the DLC came later, and sure, it's packaged in later versions and is more accessible and nicer and worth playing. And I played most of the DLC and I was like, it's pretty good, you know, but it didn't affect my ranking. So like if that was like a whole optional area in the original game, then I probably would have even given Dark Souls a couple of extra points because it was in the actual game.
Yeah,
as
I get it.
To being a piece of DLC.
Okay, I rescind my point.
Phil,
thank you.
How are you on Ratchet Clank?
That was just like that was such a delayed like catharsis because like good, Connor got it. But fine. I was like, I really hope he gets it like from that night where like it was kept going back and I kind of felt bad because I was like. It just never got resolved, and I was like...
See, that was the thing. My memory of that was that there was never a resolution, so I was like, well, the matter's not settled.
Yeah, and I was I'm waiting for Connor to bring this up so that me and Tavin can have this, like, I don't remember having this conversation about side content.
Now, I'm glad we're having the conversation because the Game Club has not included mini games with a lot of side content in them, with the exception of, like, Yakuza 0 and God of War Ragnarok. Everything else is, for the most part, pretty linear games.
Breath of the Wild, too.
Breath of the Wild, yeah, but I feel like that's another one of like the game is the side
when
content.
It's an open world game like that.
Yeah, especially one as open as that. I mean, I think much like Ratchet and Clank here, Infamous is like it's side content, but the way progression is built into it, you're supposed to do it.
The orbs.
And getting confused with the conversation we just had, I was prepared whenever we do, inevitably, it's going to be a while, Witcher 3, I was like, if that's the stance, Witcher 3 is a far less superior game than people make it out to be because the side content really elevates that game.
Yeah.
Like more people when they talk about Witcher.
A conversation about DLC?
No, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, like blood as great as Blood and Wine is, Blood and Wine isn't going to affect where I rank Witcher 3. For example.
Yeah. Like exactly.
But
I think you keep mixing and melding DLC and side content.
Yeah, but like you love the monster quests in Witcher 3. Yeah, that's part in the ranking in my brain.
And any of the side quests, which have those nice, cool little stories that, as good as the main campaign is, I think are the most memorable part of that game.
Anything that comes pre-packaged with the game.
Everybody calls the Bloody Baron a side quest. That's a main quest.
Yeah, it's a
isn't
main
it?
quest.
Yeah, I don't know why everybody calls it a side quest.
But yeah,
Anyways,
there was this
Phil,
whole
Ratchet 2.
Ratchet and Clank Going Commando. As I mentioned, it was of the main PS2 trilogy. It was the last of the trilogy that I ended up playing. But this game, like as far as like being a sequel to the first game, it's the earliest I can think of a game being a perfect sequel. We talk a lot on this game, me in particular, in talking about sequels. We talk about what is a perfect sequel. It does so much good improvement wise while not kind of separating itself super far away from the original DNA of the original. That's there as far as Ratchet still moves the same. Granted, he has additional moves like the strafe, which I know. Which going back and listening to the Ratchet thing, I learned that apparently Ratchet 1 had a strafe.
Yeah.
Which is one of those things that even as an adult who already had that conversation, having that conversation again, it was like, oh my god, Ratchet 1 has a strafe.
But again, to the moveset, the strafe in this one allows for things like backflips and side flips, which are not in the original game because of how the strafe worked.
They are stationary.
Oh, you're right. If you do the crouch thing,
yeah,
you're right. Okay,
they're stationary ones. But now you can do it while on the move.
Yeah.
I will say there is kind of more. This is the beginning of the Ratchet games making their pivot away from more platforming. And that's why whenever you're bringing that up, into more the main meat of the gameplay here is combat. This is a third person shooter. With platforming elements, and some games like throughout will have more or less platforming elements throughout them. But
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to, because there's the platforming is still here.
Yeah,
it's in the next one where it's like, all right, platforming's gone.
Right. This is the beginning of the pivot.
Yeah. So like, if I were to describe them in terms of genre, which is stupid, I would say Ratchet 1 is a platformer shooter. This is a shooter platformer, and the next one's a shooter.
Yeah.
With some platforming elements.
Yeah. So there, I had things, and I've already forgotten what I wanted to say throughout y'all's two things you were saying. Oh, the cutscene thing you were talking about. I don't think that this is any better or worse than the first game in terms of
it might not be
being like jarring.
Yeah,
going from gameplay to cutscene.
I don't remember. I know it did happen, but I don't remember as much in the first one of like being in the level and being interrupted by cutscenes as I did in this one.
Yeah. And then I kind of mentioned the thing whole about the weapon thing. But anyway, I think in terms of the opening of this game, I think this game has the strongest opening of the Ratchet series. I like the kind of separate thing they were doing cutscene wise, and then kind of going into the gameplay in the first game where you go and you find Clank or whatever. But this one being like them being separate, and then we kind of see like the retutorialization, even though like for us it's a retutorial, but the tutorialization for like a new player for Going Commando, how you learn Ratchet's moveset and how the level design kind of complements the new moveset you have. Like the opening level being so in the beginning so like straight ahead, like straight and narrow, like with the narrow corridors, so you learn how to strafe and avoid some of these bullets. And then kind of opening up to more kind of big battlegrounds, almost like like you're on the side of that ship and it's really open, and you see the wind gusting back Ratchet's hair or Ratchet's ears, and just the way it tells you when to use certain weapons in the tutorial. And also, I don't remember ever mentioning in the first game, at least in a review, but like the quick select and the weapon select, it doesn't pause the game. In this game, it pauses the game.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yes, that is true.
So like that way, while you're switching weapons, you don't have to worry about like getting hit by a stray bullet or like somebody running up on you.
Didn't it slow down in the first one?
No.
Damn.
No, not in the
slow
first
down.
one.
No.
In later versions, they slow it down.
It's like, but it's like slow down, but it's like very, very, it's like super slow.
It's the equivalent of slow-mo in 7 Remake.
Yeah, I recalled it was slower, but it was such where you're still having to like dodge bullets in the first game.
Yeah.
Because again, and then the first one was so much of like pick your weapon to enter combat with, whereas this one is like you're switching on the fly.
You're switching on the fly.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, there's because I feel like in this game there's more parts where you'll enter an arena, and then all of a sudden a door will bust open and this type of enemy will come through, or like Case in point,
a ship will come in. And
ship will come in,
dudes
drop some
off.
guys off.
Yeah.
Like case in point, the Thugs for Less guys. Like sometimes they have like dog and like metal dog
Yeah.
enemies that'll run at you, right? And so some of them have like big mounts that they'll be on top of. Like there's stuff all over the place. I think this is the best that the side content like has ever been in a
I think
Ratchet
it's
game.
the best it ever gets.
Yeah.
It's-
The like space combat I think is fantastic. I think it's super good. I
Mhm.
love running through. I used to play those parts on like repeat as a kid, and to the point where like the bolts you'd get back would be absolutely minuscule.
Yeah.
From replaying them.
The first like 2 times you do it, they'll give you good
Decent
amounts.
bolts, yeah.
Yeah. And then after that, it's like,
Yeah.
all right, you're getting like 1,000 apiece.
I'll give you like 750.
Yeah.
pocket change.
I also think it's really cool the way that you the ship is like another upgrade tree, or not tree, but like another thing that you can upgrade and improve as you continue to play.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a nice secondary like weapon quick select that you can have there, like the torpedoes, the mines,
The nuke.
the nuke. Yeah. Super cool. I also love the arenas, like the battle arenas. I think
Those are my
they're
favorite.
Insanely good. You met Chainblade.
Oh, I finally met him. My apparently husband. What was it you said? The guy would have sex with?
I don't
What?
remember. I think I said you were gonna like him or something. Like
Yeah,
that. I don't know.
something sexual. I remember I was like,
Yeah.
intent was like Chainblade. I remember.
And then
like,
the
like
B2
that guy?
Brawler. The B2 Brawler.
That's
a
Brawler's
Brawler.
brain, right?
Brawler's a bitch. Fuck the Brawler.
Yeah.
It's a big old metal guy with
It-
long arms,
Yeah,
long legs.
I hate that guy.
When he does the spin move, man, I'm like,
Yeah.
man, leave me alone. He does it for so long.
It is very, very long.
that was you. Holy shit! I thought that was an actual.
That was me.
The two in the other one are way less memorable. The
Yeah.
arachnid bot and then the
The
centipede.
centipede.
They
Yeah.
do this. The arachnid bot you only fight like twice, and then the centipede you fight like 5 times.
Well, it depends on if you do the impossible challenge, which
Right.
I know Connor didn't do.
I did do it. I didn't beat it, but
Uh-huh.
I ran out of ammo.
Well, I don't think the arachnid is in the impossible challenge.
Is it not?
If my memory serves me, I mean, I did it every playthrough, and I don't think I ever fought it. in
Isn't
the
it just 60 rounds or something like that?
It's 60 rounds,
but
but
they change it up. Like
the-
they'll make you jump up on the
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
ceiling.
the
they'll-
centipede is the final wave.
Oh, okay. I got to like 55.
There's also more. There's like 2 or 3 challenges. I think on challenge mode they also add extra challenges to the
Mhm.
arenas. But there's like 2 or 3 extra challenges where it's like fight the centipede in 3 minutes and
Yeah.
win and so forth. And they do that for Chainblade and Brawler as well, but they don't do it for Arachnid.
I did
This
get to
is-
the centipede. I died to him because I had no ammo.
This
That's what
is also just in terms of the way I love the way you guys talked about how this game incentivizes you to try new weapons, and so much more so than the first game. Because the first game it's like, yeah, you have your favorites for this one, but in this one they literally like your these weapons you already have are doing way less damage. So the game is incentivizing you to buy more stuff, use your bolts to get these other weapons and try them out, and it just really makes you appreciate the entire arsenal of Ratchet. And like some of the best weapons that he ever gets are in this game. Like the turret glove starts off in this game. Turret glove's amazing.
I love them.
I love
the Seeker gun.
the Seeker gun.
Seeker gun's
insanely good. It's kind of a spiritual successor, I feel, to the Visibomb gun, because like, you know, you're not really controlling it, but it's like it goes out. They kind of split the Visibomb gun in this one with the Seeker gun, and then like the Spider Mine thing where
Yeah.
like, you're controlling your Spider-Man and you
Sure.
bring it out.
I guess. Yeah. I mean, you know, of course. And then one thing that's notable that is fucking cool that no games do anymore, and I wish they would, is they read your memory card and be like, "Oh, you played the first one?
Yeah.
I mean, you can get them regardless, but here's a good amount of the weapons from the first one for free. Here you go." And then if you didn't play the
had
first
a
one, you
save
gotta buy it.
file, if you have a save file for Ratchet 1 and you go talk to the Gadgetron lady, she gives you all the stuff for free.
And it didn't remember it for mine, but it gave you them in the challenge, or at least gave you the chance to buy them in the challenge mode. Does that just happen regardless?
You have the chance to buy them in the first run, but only at the lady on the what do you
On the
even call
planet.
it? The mountainy, the first planet where you have the
where
hover
you
bikes.
have like the raiders show up.
Yeah,
like,
but-
those like cool.
You
guys.
can buy it from that lady.
But wasn't it only if it got from the memory
No,
card?
if it reads your memory card,
You get them
and
for
says
free.
and it sees you have a save file, you get it for free.
Okay. Yeah, I remember now.
Um,
And then in challenge mode, they just throw them into the Megatron.
The only thing is, it would be really, really cool if they also had like upgrades like the new guns do, but they don't. They're just literally just the old ones.
You can buy an upgrade for them in challenge mode.
Yeah.
But there's not that 4th tier. You know.
I just mean like it doesn't change the way the gun works.
Oh
like
yeah,
how
yeah,
some
yeah.
of them,
Oh
some
yeah.
of them
No,
do
no, no,
like
yeah,
you know how for example. The lava gun turning into the meteor gun.
Put a machine gun on the Visibomb gun. Just turn it into a fighter pilot.
That'd be badass.
That'd be crazy.
You're cooking right now.
Sly Cooper would have done that.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there. Sly would have done that.
Yeah, I think this is just a fantastic game, and there's a reason that it stays on my it's I still own my physical copy, even though it's in that cringe ass GameStop branded box.
And this is one where like the cover of this one where like Ratchet's looking all mean and Clank's on his back and he's got the missile launcher and then like the melted wall like to open it up to it. I'm like, that cover art is so iconic to me.
I'm partial to the cover art of Up Your Arsenal. I like it a lot.
That one's fine. Yeah.
But yeah, I just think this game is phenomenal. It's if you haven't played a Ratchet game, I honestly I don't even think this is a bad place to start.
Just know it never gets better.
There are some elements get better, some elements get worse. You know, you take the good with the bad when it comes to this series, and that's better than I could say for a lot of different franchises.
And not to say like, because again, like I don't think we've had the perfect Ratchet and Clank game yet. Even like speaking as a long-term fan, but like this one, it's like, it's so good, but it's so disheartening that like they clearly don't care about narrative as much in this one. A lot of the later levels like get much more linear and less interesting as we go along. And even the ice level near the end, where like clearly this level was rushed and like slammed, like put together very quickly, because like when you go out into the wilderness for crystal hunting, which that's another like mini game thing that's dope and awesome.
Crystals.
Getting the moonstone crystals, and you're fighting these Yeti types, and the
Yetis, the funniest
Yetis
character in the game.
The Yetis pop out all the time and everywhere, and there's so many of them, and they do so much damage, and they do touch damage, which no other enemy in the fucking game does.
One of the only ones that does it,
which would be very excusable if they also got a lot of bolts, but there's like barely any to drop.
Super
Not
regular.
High reward.
Yeah, and there's so many of them to the point
they're
where
as
like
plentiful as any other like fodder enemy, like a fucking sand shark.
Yeah, to the ship upgrades being rooted in Raritanium, which is dope that they like brought that back and made it more useful here.
I think still a better name for a mineral than unobtainium from Avatar.
Yeah, I agree with you. But the Raritanium coming in, like you get it in the space battles at a decent clip. But they also want you in the wilderness.
Got to break the meteors.
You do, yep. That's where they all are hiding out,
or just in the back.
Asteroids.
Yeah. It was one of the last trophies I had to get was fully upgrading my ship, and so I just went to the Thugs for Less
Incognito
Rendezvous, the one with the ships that you have to destroy. The big ships. I just kept loading up that level and just launching the nuke in the horde of enemies, and then like killing myself and rebooting and getting like 8 Raritanium a run or whatever.
Hell yeah.
But that, to my point, in the crystal hunting areas, they also include a mining ship that you can hop into and mine Raritanium out of the desert, but it's completely unplayable in the ice realm because there's so many Yetis. And I don't know if it was a Vita concession or if it's the same way on the full console version, but the enemies weren't spawning when I was in the mining ship in the desert. I feel like that's a Vita concession.
There are some parts where like you just clear it out,
right? But there were times where I would leave the planet, come back, and then getting in the ship, and it wouldn't
that
spawn.
sounds like a Vita concession.
It was probably a Vita concession.
Yeah.
Is probably what that was, because I remember as a kid having to fight the little weird
like little
lizard crab things. Yeah. Which again, like,
you're talking about the armored ones. I thought you were talking about the little like fly guys.
The like lizard fucks. The main,
the ones that look like
enemy.
they look like the purple monster guys that you fight in the first game, but there's like they're orange with armor on them.
Maybe I don't remember.
The one that you fight like the queen of on.
Okay.
Look like
yeah,
that.
this is like another variant of that. Yeah, sort of. Boss fights I think are just hands down better here than they were in the first. There's not a lot in the first one, but the ones that are in the first one are kind of like whatever. Here I felt like some of them like actually applied challenge that I was like, oh, this is a decent fight.
I would say the boss fights were really nothing burgers in this game. I remember every single one was like All right, I beat him. Move on. It was like the most nothing thing, except for the arena ones. Those were, well, not Chainblade, but
You don't like Chainblade?
no, I do. I like Chainblade, but he's not difficult. He's not like,
Oh, no.
well, you're really trying with Chainblade there.
We might be falling victim to a little bit of gamer evolution here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because or maybe I was just a dumb fucking kid. But Chainblade whipped my ass in the when I played it as a kid. But granted, I was 4.
You just jump.
Yeah, so like it was very difficult. But I also remember the space missions being so hard as a kid. And here I'm like, oh, these are
I
the
understand.
easiest things in the game.
I understand that. It's just like if you're not doing the barrel rolls a lot, you're gonna get hit a lot.
I didn't even need to do that.
Well, I feel I have deja vu because I can't remember if we talked about this on a podcast or not, or if it was just us playing Halo. But when you were telling me about you playing the space missions, I was like, yeah, I thought they were. I immediately know about like the it's inverted control, like to go up, go down, all that. stuff.
That was a thing my dumb brain couldn't get over. Inverted
because
cameras.
Like growing up, and I would go to like my grandparents' house. My grandfather had like the flight stick with like the flight simulator, so like
Yeah.
I would always mess around with that. Me and my older brother were so fascinated with that because like it would just, oh my god, you're flying a plane on the computer, what? And so like that was just an instinct that I kept. Like,
okay.
The whole when you're flying, you pull back to go up.
Yeah, my experience with like, because that's like when my mom plays games. Very rarely she wants to play inverted. And in her head, it's like a flight stick for the camera controls. And I'm like, oh, and I never like. I guess as a kid, like I just never had that much experience with planes because I never knew that pulling up meant going up or pulling back.
The argument I've always heard, and it's the most convincing argument that I've heard for like inverted controls, is think that you have the control stick on the back of your head.
Yeah. Or
So,
or on the back of the camera type thing. Yeah. Which sure makes sense, but like it's just not.
I'm still playing regular.
Yeah, but I mean, this game also starts the camera in inverted mode. So why was I having so much trouble with the?
They did that a lot back then. I remember inverted was way more common than it reasonably was.
It was the default for the original one too.
Yeah,
whatever the devs felt was natural is what the default was.
Well, what was crazy about the first one is if it starts in default, and even when you play New Game Plus, it resets it back.
Does it? I didn't remember that. Yeah. I think New Game Plus has way more like reason to play it in this one.
Absolutely.
One with like the challenge mode, the enemies are harder. I think there's more enemies, but it's
bolt
hard to
multiplier.
tell. The bolt multiplier, the extra level ups for weapons, and then also like just being able to like explore the levels a little bit more with a little bit more knowledge of where they are, possibly getting into some hidden areas and so forth. Like, Connor, the first planet that you're allowed to go to, Uzla, in the shopping mall area, there's a hidden boss in there.
Oh,
yeah.
Really?
There's like a part where like you can only do it with the Magna boots, which your first time through you don't have.
And when I did that level again, I noticed that thing. Then I was like, huh?
What is that?
Go back there.
You go up there, and basically, the like swamp monster that you fight outside with the tentacles.
That
or whatever?
essentially like forces you to learn the strafe mechanic.
Yeah,
you know you're gonna get hit.
You fight another version of that, or maybe it's the same monster.
It's that one.
Yeah. But like its moveset changes completely, and you're in like a swamp area where it's all water, and you're hopping on lily
You're almost
pads.
like in like a big cave with like an acid lake.
And he's like, and as he's like pushing through, he's like knocking the lily pads away and so forth.
Why didn't they do that boss in the main game?
It's a hidden boss.
It sounds way better than any of the other bosses in the game.
Boss,
and
you get one of the coolest things.
You get box breaker.
Box breaker,
yeah. Which means like every time you do the jump and wrench slam thing, and everything breakable around you breaks.
Yeah, and
That's
you know how like some breakable stuff gives you bolts. So,
yeah.
It's so satisfying, and it's so awesome to do, to have that bolt multiplier cranked up as high as it can go.
Yeah,
and then go to a place with a bunch of breakables, jump up, slam down, wave of bolts just goes
here's a quick 50K.
Yeah,
I did like in the arenas when all of the gold, the bolts that were scattered around would come back to me.
Oh
yeah.
Awesome.
Powerful.
You kind of like get a miniaturized version of that with the combination of the box smasher, but also the bolt collector, which you get from the nerd by trading him with the
you give him the quark figure.
Yeah.
Which as a kid, no idea what that quark figure did because I never found that guy until like way later, like I'm late teenager years.
Ratchet and Clank.
I mentioned it before. I just want to add on, like, I feel like there was much more dynamic and interesting lighting and shadows in the first game, and this one, like the planet with the proto pet, like a lot of the lighting's really flat. I feel like the planet where you go to free Angela and you fight the mech the Thugs for Less
yeah.
mech. That fight goes on way too long.
Oh yeah,
It does, yes.
that
yeah.
boss fight. You're like where you're.
It's not
You're
even
going turret to turret.
Yeah,
turret,
it's
yeah,
not
I
even
hate that boss.
interesting, and it goes on. It's the longest fight in the fucking game.
You could just use the bouncer, and then just keep shooting at his cankles.
Oh, that might have been
I
more
didn't know
efficient.
that.
Yeah.
I love the bouncer.
Is it effective?
Bouncer's the best. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Damn, best, huh?
especially if you have a mod on it.
I like the bouncer. It does it. I want it to shoot a beat faster.
Bouncer's the
There's
best weapon.
too
in the
much
entire
delay
series.
between the shots for me.
Its biggest weakness is that.
Yeah.
But
Bouncer's
Meteor's
the
gun was
best.
mine.
Bouncer's the best weapon in the entire.
Anyways,
series.
It's one of the most fun to use.
that level starts with an incredible tableau of the big mountain and the lava and all this stuff, and then like as soon as you're in the level, it's like all right, just these really wide flat hallways with one lighting on it. And I'm like, all right, well, I feel like we could have done a little bit more. The best looking level in the game to me is Joba.
Yeah, I love that one.
Joba
Is the second Coliseum level.
And
You're
the
right.
motorbike.
Yeah, the second.
It's just-
Flex for Less. Yeah.
Yeah.
It like that level looks fantastic. It's got dynamic lighting. It's got the cool fireflies, like just to add an extra effect or whatever. It's just unfortunate that it's a pretty short level because it hosts two of the biggest mini games of the game.
Yeah.
So-
Also, where you get the rhino.
Favorite levels, because for mine,
you get the levitator. It's sold by the Rhino guy. The Rhino just shows up.
You're
the
right.
Rhino is in the
You're right.
from the vendor who sells you game one weapons.
You're right.
favorite levels, because mine's Joba.
Joba's
That's
up
what the
there.
name is. I couldn't remember it. And
Joba, something like that.
something
it's
like
Joba.
that.
Yeah.
That and Casino Planet are my two premier
Oh,
levels
yeah,
there.
yeah,
I
yeah.
can't remember that
The
one's name.
Martyr something.
Mactar Resort.
That's what it was. Yeah, the
Yeah.
resort. Yeah.
That one was a
Um,
favorite as a kid. I don't love it so much now.
That's a good one. I also like it because the slot machines.
Slot machines are fun.
Yep. I went through all those in the first place
I
through that
think
level.
that's a lot of fun. I think my favorite, the one that just comes to mind every time, is the planet where you it is the Gadgetron like old owned planet with like the desert.
Oh yeah.
That one's a good one.
That one's probably one with like the gladiator guys that like,
Yeah.
come out because like I just love their behavior in that one. I think it's kind of cool how they like kind of hide from you underneath like and they kind of raid you on that bridge. They almost they kind of ambush you on this
I
planet.
thought you meant the desert with the crystal things. You're talking
No,
the one
no,
with
no.
the first hover bike race.
First time about
Yeah.
That I was gonna agree. That is my favorite. Yeah, when they charge you on the bridge, I
Mhm.
remember that being such a fucking
Yeah.
shit. Limitations of the time. We
That's-
can't have that many enemies
I
on
think that's
screen.
the planet where you can buy the seeker gun for the first time.
The which one?
That you can buy the seeker gun for the first time.
Secret gun?
Seeker,
Yeah. The one
Oh,
that-
the hunters. Oh, maybe it might be. Yeah, because it's early.
the seeker gun.
Yeah, that one's up there for one of my favorites. It's also one of the ones that it's one of the few planets that has any kind of focus on platforming on it with the long slingshot,
slingshot puzzle?
which was dope, and then like the rotating platforms
Mhm.
that go as well. Like that was I think a cool.
I
challenge.
like that planet where it's one of the only Terminator puzzle planets where you have to keep on you freeze the water out.
the fish?
rivers.
Yeah.
No,
It's the one where like the Thugs for Less guys they're like hiding
Yeah.
and they're pretending to be mannequins.
so they're
don't remember that.
pretending to be mannequins in a display, but he's right. You get the Terminator and you go into like the facility and it's the rising water that you freeze.
And then
Yeah.
you have to pay those nerd robots that like
Yeah.
basically like
So the one with the Terminator puzzles, the giant fish that you got to avoid. How would you do that?
Are you joking?
How'd you do that?
You freeze him when he's in one spot, and then you unfreeze him when you're safe, and then you freeze him again.
So he's pitched the question wrong. There's the one part where it's two vats that are connected by an underwater bridge,
Yeah.
or an underwater tunnel, right?
Yeah.
You're meant to freeze it at the perfect level to where you can get through the tunnel,
Uh-huh.
but still it's high enough for you to jump and be able to
Yeah.
get there. His dumbass was more focused on the fish.
So I would freeze it, go into that first tunnel to go into the next room, and then unfreeze it so it's water again, and then like float, go upwards to jump out of it while the water's unfrozen.
And he kept getting eaten.
No, that's the thing. I didn't get eaten. I did it effectively.
Oh, okay.
I was just curious. It was like I was having to really be like I was on the line the entire time during that puzzle segment. So
I
how'd
don't-
you do? And
I
the
don't
time
pay
was like,
attention
I
to
didn't
the
do
fish.
that.
I did exactly what
I
you
know,
said,
that's
where
what I
you
was
have it
gonna-
at the perfect level.
Yeah.
I don't pay attention to the fish at all.
I say it's such a non-issue.
Yeah, it's not even a thing.
Because I read it as like, oh, the thing is to dodge the fish to get away from them before they get you.
Remember in the first game when you would drain the tanks and then the fish would just be like flopping?
They
and
flop.
You could
Well,
have
they
like a little bit of like
move because they have like almost legs, but they don't work right. So they
I think that's in later versions because in the original they just flop.
Oh, because it's like orange guy. It doesn't have like the weird eyes.
Maybe. But like how cathartic was it? Was like this thing that I'm scared of, and now I'm like, oh fuck you.
It reminds me a lot of the lurkerfish in Jack and Daxter because I think it's like the same model or like a similar model.
Maybe. One thing I don't love about this game in comparison to the first is they de-emphasize the wrench so much. Because it so quickly becomes underpowered in every area.
Do they re-emphasize the wrench by giving it damage upgrades throughout?
Yes, but then those damage upgrades quickly get netted out because the enemies get so much harder.
Get smash glass to get rock to smash glass to get wrench.
That's a good joke. He
goes, and then the dredge goes, solved it.
But then and again to the janking, oh, we didn't think this through, is the next one you get is just floating in the air, and he goes, hey, look, another one.
Yeah.
And I'm
it's on the big Thunks Flesh shit, right?
We've done such a good job of grounding our upgrades, and for that one to just be like a classic video game power-up, I'm like, all right, cool, whatever.
Throws the other one away.
Gentlemen, let's get into ranking this.
If I'm Ratchet, I'm holding on to so I have 2 wrenches.
Double the damage.
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, Phil. I also want the wrench to be bigger. Not big enough for me. I want it to be a little more cartoonishly bigger. You know? Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, of course, we rank every game that we play in the game club. Can we all agree this is better than the first game?
Yeah.
So I'm going to start there and move up to the top of A. I don't believe it'll get there, but
I don't think we're moving past A.
Yeah. Number 20, Ratchet and Clank. Number 19, Pokemon Soul Silver. Number 18, Severed. Moving into B tier. No, moving into A tier from B tier. Number 17, Resident Evil. 16, Chrono Trigger. 15, Dishonored. 14, Undertale. 13, Metal Gear Solid. 12, Shovel Knight. 11, Portal 2. 10, Doom 2016. And number 9, Yakuza 0. Of course, I want to start.
We've been going for over an hour.
Have we really?
Yeah.
Oh man, it felt like we were running out of.
That's crazy.
That's crazy that we were going that long. That's cool. I want to start debating here. The big holdup for me here is Resident Evil. I do believe that Resident Evil is a better game than this. It's not as fun as this, but it's a smarter game. I think it's better designed, and it's just as interesting on a replay as this one is. And I think it also is more replayable because you only need to beat this game twice. It's the third time where you're like, all right, I'm kind of stretching out the content here a little bit. But I would have Resident Evil higher anyway, so I've kind of just got to make do with what I got. To me, this is the most a game can be focused on just having a ton of fun. This is the peak of that, of our focus is fun and only fun. We only care about fun.
And if it's not fun, what's the point?
Sure. This is the best example we've had in the game club up to this point. To me, it stops when we get to a game that's trying to do a little bit more, that's trying to really express what it means to be a video game. And to me, the first game on that list is Undertale. So to me, Ratchet and Clank Going Commando is our new number 15, above Dishonored, below Undertale. Phil, I want to go to you next, because I'm curious as to where you're going to land.
I'm with that, and my only sticking point is I wasn't confident because I haven't played Chrono Trigger. So I wasn't confident in putting it above Chrono Trigger, but that's around where I had it. The way that I was running with that was in my head. I was like, I'm probably just gonna stop right above Resident Evil and put it at the new number 17. But you've given me the confidence and assured me that this belongs to the new number 15, right below Undertale.
Now comes my issues here.
Here we go.
Because I actually have to, it actually is kind of serious conversation. Because an issue I've had with you two. Phil, I think you're way more aware of it by how you're saying it right here. Tavin, I don't think you are as aware about it.
I played 20 hours of Chrono Trigger.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
No. That's the issue where it comes with Phil, where it's like you haven't played the game at all. You don't even know what you're ranking there.
Yeah.
But it's even beyond that, where it's hard for me to take your guys', especially you, Tavin's, opinion seriously, because it is no way better than Dishonored, or Chrono Trigger, or even Resident Evil.
1,000% better than Dishonored.
It definitely
it
not.
It is definitely better than Dishonored.
It is not by any stretch of the imagination. Both those games are very fun. Dishonored is way more intelligently designed. This one has a barrier where it stops. I was struggling putting it over Severed. Point is, that's where it's going. It's above Severed. because it is just such a fun game and such a great time that and the variety of the weapons you have, the enemy varieties, I think overcomes Severed.
Let me ask you this: at above Severed, would you put it at the top of B or the bottom of A?
That's what I was also thinking about. I mean, I'll get back to my other point in a second, but I think that's top of B tier. Okay. But I don't mind either one, I don't think it's going there now. But my issue is, I think, again, going back to maybe you, Tavin, are putting it only as high as it is because of the childhood memories it brings and your personal love for it. And it's the reason I thought of that heavily. It's because of the Spider-Man movie. It's a good movie. It's not as good as you guys said it was. And there's particular two moments. First of all, there's a really bad written scene in that movie at first.
Why are we talking about Spider-Man right now?
Because it's my point. Where... Spoiler alert, guys. Skip over it for a couple seconds. I don't care about spoiling you. But basically, there's a scene where, because of what happens in the last Spider-Man movie, everyone forgets who Peter Parker is. And that's the basis for this movie. And there's a scene where his love interest seemingly remembers him based off of a moment.
This is a badly written scene
No, it's not. It's not. It's a very well-written scene. But it was starting out badly written because the whole... I kissed you, and now I remember now, is the cheesiest, most empty way to do it. And at the end of the movie, they do it in a good way with another character. But it just made no sense at all. It's just like the most pull a hat out of your hat, pull a rabbit out of your hat trick to just make all of the things that happened in the past movie become largely irrelevant.
Well, was that she was suspecting that she knew him before they even kissed.
No. I know.
I'm going to push back a little bit. Because you don't have enough context on the character.
Mm-hmm.
That character figures out who Peter is on her own.
Yeah.
In the one movie you haven't seen.
In the only movie that you haven't seen.
The idea that you're saying is poorly written, and you're not wrong, especially with like the kiss thing that is dumb. But like they even turn around and make fun of it, which is why the scene is well written.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the lead up to before that kiss does make sense because she lists examples. She through history and her experience proves work. She at least knows who Spider-Man is. Mm-hmm. That part is true. And then the rest of the scene happens the way it happens and so forth. So like that scene is rooted in character in a way that does make sense.
In Far From Home.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to talk about actual quality of writing, it's a Marvel movie.
Yeah. Well,
I
push back on that notion because
when
was she
good Marvel movie?
I think it's a particularly
point
good
is
Marvel.
In that scene she's taken over, right?
Yeah.
She's not herself. When does that happen? Because I saw it as the entire scene she was
before
like
he
that.
Gets there.
Yeah,
before
So
before
all of those things where she's saying it up to that scene is not.
So
is
another
not
note that again is noted in the one movie you haven't seen. She hates swinging.
Yeah.
She despises it. And they touch on that in the movie a little bit, but it's not as like focused on like it's like the worst experience ever. And then when they're swinging to that location or whatever, she's chill, she's fine, she's even having a good time.
No, see, that's not the point here. The point is, in the last movie, they do universal stupid comic book bullshit to make her forget. And to make everyone forget who Peter Parker is. What?
Sure. Magic.
Yeah. But that's the point of...
Why are we talking about Spider-Man right now?
The point is that you guys, in that scene, before it was revealed, it's actually Jean Grey, you guys were like, oh my God.
Oh,
like, it was the reaction you guys had, which was an overreaction to the nth degree.
What's that?
Know. Because of the thing that happened in the last movie?
No.
The second movie?
I caught the twist well before the audience did.
Yeah.
Well before, where like, as soon as like, it was well before the kiss. Well before the kiss, I leaned over to Phil and I went, "It's not her."
Yeah,
and
they're fucking with us.
And then Phil was immediately right there alongside me. I think you just missed it because everybody else was like,
yeah.
And you were on the end of the three of us, and me and him were just whispering.
Okay, that's better because
we were not.
We're not the brain dead plebeians that you think we are.
When she started talking, I was like, "Oh my God, she's gonna put it together." And then, but like the way she kept putting it together, I was like,
"It was just so out of character.
Too much. Mm-hmm. This is too much."
Yeah. So my point still stands though, which is that Spider-Man is an example of you guys like it as much as you do because of your love for that character.
I'm going to cut to the point here, and you're pushing on it because of the childhood memory thing. We didn't even talk about Spider-Man at all.
I played it as a like
he played teenager. It later in life,
but it was like it was a formative game.
I'm sorry,
same kind of thing with Tavin.
Not really as formative as
childhood means
else.
Nothing to me. Jack shit to me. Like
then
in terms of
when
we talk about like objectivity and ranking these things, I turn that shit off.
That's why
and I'll remind you, we just played a childhood game that is still dear to me, and I tore it apart.
Yeah, because that's a much more faulty game where there's objectively big flaws that game has. Ratchet and Clank Commando doesn't have like major damaging flaws in it.
Back to the conversation of specific. I'm going to lean on Dishonored because you're right. It's not better than Resident Evil, but y'all ranked Resident Evil.
I agree, but it's not better than any of the ones.
And we have to live with what we have. I do believe it's better than Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger is painfully repetitive, and its story writing is
going back into it. You played it like 3 different times and you never even beat it. And that, again, that's going to be repetitive.
I put 20 hours into it. What do you want?
Yeah, but I'm saying it was repetitive because you had to play it over again. So that repetitive argument doesn't really make sense coming from you.
I don't remember.
Because the game failed and you had to like start it over.
I don't remember that, but I remember that regardless. Like the combat is repetitive in that because it's a turn-based RPG.
It is.
It's an old turn-based RPG, and granted they have like ways to like get around it with the dual tech systems and so forth. But there's way too much combat in that game, and there's not enough narrative to keep you going in it. And Chrono Trigger falls victim to me more than games like Final Fantasy VII, where characters are only important for their one scene, and then they are in the background and don't matter anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And like you can lean in on some of the later stuff that happens in the game, cool, and all of that's cool, but it doesn't excuse the fact that it takes well over 20 hours to get to that point, and everything up to that point is boring. The introduction of characters like Toad or Frog, I forget which one he actually
I see.
The introduction of characters like Toad is great.
Frog.
The introduction of characters like Robot is great. I think the beginning intro bit with the whole the carnival and into the like the weird time hanky panky stuff that happens, and then we have like that trial that totally is rigged against you, and then like the escape from there. All of that is great, and then it completely falls away, and it just doesn't matter anymore. Like it holds no weight in the sequence. That is a problem in a game where that needs to matter more because the gameplay is not as fun as this. And to Dishonored, which is really my real target here in this conversation, I'll remind you disagreed with me at the time, but I'll remind you I don't think Dishonored's combat's good. Its level design is fantastic. It's how intrinsic or how intricate the levels are is great. The way that they allow you to come up with different solutions for the problem, much like the party scene where you can like stealthily get all 3 girls taken away in non-lethal ways, right? Yeah. Like that's great. That's really, really cool. I'm gonna counter that with like just the combat falls so short to me that like outside, if you're not playing it as a stealth game, which you should because it's a stealth game, like combat's not fun to me. And there's no point in Ratchet and Clank where I feel like it's not fun.
If that's the case, dude, we're having to lower all of the Metal Gear Solids because playing it that way sucks.
One little tiny thing left. That's a different conversation. The one little tiny thing left. Ratchet and Clank Going Commando offers so much more meaningful content than Chrono Trigger and Dishonored.
Side content because of that, yeah, but not main pathing.
It's all meaningful though.
Yeah,
and I'll remind you again, like we had at the beginning of this, the content of the game is the content of the game.
The combat is elevated by the weapons. The actual way you're fighting in Ratchet and Clank isn't so spectacular. That's not what we're talking about here with the gameplay.
So what are you using to fight?
But
what are you using to fight?
All the weapons.
But now we're just...
But that's what's fun.
I mean, sure,
but
like
the moving of how you do it, it's a lot of just strafing to the right and left. Like
sometimes.
Enemies. Most of the time that you're doing, or you're just
some weapons
jumping.
Function differently. Yeah. Just because you didn't use... I'm sorry that you didn't use the mini turrets and the floating armor dude.
The game is incredibly simple. That's literally like autoplay. Why is that a benefit?
Or you didn't use the hover bomb or the spider bot, which I don't love those weapons either, but there's more to it than that, than you're giving credit for, just because
that's where
you locked yourself into a hole and only used...
No, that is the bulk of where the combat quality shines. It's not in the way Ratchet moves. It's not in the platforming segments it
Ratchet moves fantastic in this game. What do you mean?
He feels fun to play and he feels reactive, but it's not like you're doing a lot of crazy things when you're fighting the enemies. You're just dealing with them.
What is crazy things to you?
Like you're just strafing and jumping. You're doing one of those two things, and it's not really a lot of depth
to it. Put that
in
context of a game we've not talked about where you feel like the combat is so much more spectacular.
On here,
remove it from the debate that we're already having and putting it in, and just give me a comparison point, because we come across, you and I come in conflict a lot when it comes on combat, because something speaks to you that makes a game's combat so much grander than I believe it to be. Whereas like I see a lot of equal playing field with a lot of games when it comes to combat.
Okay, well,
when combat is the focus.
I see your point, because I'm trying to think of some other games we played, and a lot of them combat hasn't really soared as high. Like Yakuza 0 is still pretty similar in quality to Ratchet and Clank in terms of that. Better side content.
Certainly better than Infamous combat.
Definitely better. I mean, I'm thinking what's above it, because I'm in the reign of like...
I'll allow the dig, but fuck you.
True though. I'm thinking in the area of where Ratchet and Clank is lying,
I'll
not
allow it because it supports my point. But
But to your point of Dishonored, since
When
you're saying
you're
that's what you're going
not
for the
wrong.
most, Metal Gear Solid's gameplay objectively is worsened if that's the angle you go from. If
Metal
you're just
Gear-
doing it combat,
Again,
but Dishonored is not a game you play in
but why
combat;
it
it's a game
falls-
you play in stealth.
But why did I say Ratchet fell below those games? Why did I say that? It's because I believe Undertale and Up are games that are trying to do more
and say something.
and say something and
Yeah.
take advantage of the medium in which where I believe everything below Undertale doesn't do that.
Yeah, I get that point. My point is though that even in the games, like
I'm gonna give the little like. Granted, I haven't played it, but I feel like Chrono Trigger might also have something else that it wants to say. But you didn't finish it. I didn't play it.
that's the other
I don't
issue.
believe that it does.
And that's my bigger issue with you, Phil. I mean, well, let me get to the other point, which is that in terms of just aside from those things that elevate games, because yeah, I do agree, Undertale is when that starts happening on the ranking we have on this list, but Ratchet and Clank's not so much better in any way than Dishonored or Chrono Trigger or Resident Evil, and doesn't have an interesting narrative, and a lot of the spaceship combat, the robot combat, while it's fun, isn't better than the bulk of the gameplay you take part in Resident Evil, like with the puzzles, like Chrono Trigger with the exploring of each of these new worlds, or Dishonored with the variety of ways you can tackle it.
I mean,
Is
the only
one
one I
spot
agree with you
above
is
it
Resident
so
Evil,
much
but I
better?
didn't want Resident Evil there.
Spot above, sorry, what?
You said it's not so much better than these. Is one spot above it so much better in your mind?
I mean, listen, I'm not upset of where the game is lying because they are so close in quality.
He's never fought us this hard in multiple episodes.
Well, again, but it's just the fact that there's a part in my brain elevated by your putting it over Chrono Trigger, a game you have not played or have no experience with at all, and you have no problem putting it above it. Like, you don't even, like, for a second say, well, I haven't played it, so I don't know if I should do it.
He literally started with saying he was gonna put it below Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, but then that's the point.
Because of my opinion in that Ratchet is better than Chrono Trigger.
Yes. So the only reason it's going in the place it's going is because you've decided to just throw the list out for your own love of the games.
No, here's can I understand how you can simplify it in that way, and I wouldn't fault you for immediately thinking that was the case. Me and Tavin, when it comes to Ratchet and Clank, we agree with a lot of things. Like, we agree on a lot of things. The only thing we don't agree on repeatedly is about Dr. Nefarious. The only part that we disagree repeatedly.
I wasn't even going to bring that in. Don't even bring that in.
Wait, the what?
He's talking about next game.
All I'm saying is that's the only spot with these specific games that we disagree. Him saying this is better, that informs me from like, okay, I would most likely feel the same way.
He hesitated at Chrono Trigger. He didn't hesitate at Dishonored.
I did not hesitate at Dishonored at all.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I disagree with the integrity of this list, but we should go ahead and lay it there. Again, because I can't get over that, Phil. I get you're saying it, but that's useless when we talk about the game quality, which you have not experienced. Like, you could say that as much as you want, and it makes sense because it's
he's not
basically
arguing against Chrono Trigger. I am.
No, I know that. It's just the logic of saying, well, I'll just put it above it just because Tavin said it. It's like you're just going along with what Tavin's saying rather than what you think.
Well, Connor, you and I believe both were, I could be wrong, you and I were both aligned in putting Dishonored over Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, I think so.
That could be the truth. If Phil feels like that Ratchet goes above Dishonored, like, doesn't that logic just kind of make sense? As to why,
and again, this goes into the part
you're
I just
stuck
don't
on
think
Chrono Trigger, and I respect you for being stuck on Chrono Trigger. But like, if he feels it's better than Dishonored, and we agreed that Dishonored goes above Chrono Trigger, then he's gonna put Ratchet above Chrono Trigger anyway.
I can understand you saying Chrono Trigger more than I can Dishonored. Dishonored, it's just the main issue with Phil is he's just disregarding an entire game because he's going along with your opinion of it. Like, you might like Chrono Trigger more than Dishonored.
Disregarding it.
I think you're hammering on him on this point for no reason.
Because I'm not. Because how do you know you would like Chrono Trigger in that ranking where it's at now? You have no clue how high you would rank it without playing it. It could be way better than Dishonored could ever be.
I can make a pretty strong argument that Phil would like.
You could make the argument.
Can I finish my sentence? Can I finish my sentence?
Yes.
Because it wasn't even about me.
No, I know it's about him.
Yeah. Phil, I would probably say, would like Chrono Trigger the least out of the three of us.
Probably. I'm saying that as a criticism, like you're saying probably. Like, it's just and again, for a game that because you're not going to apply the childhood love to it, you are. I feel like you are.
I refuse to believe that is an element here. Because I'm sorry, I'm too smart for that.
I just do not think. Again, part of that is I cannot see Rift Apart being inferior to going Commando. Like, it might be, but I just can't see that either.
I don't.
From what I know about going Rift Apart,
I'm very clear and honest in a lot of my opinions when I talk about my favorites in a series and what is the best. I haven't, as recently as Tavin replayed Rift Apart, in my mind, yeah, the newest one is probably the better one. But I haven't gone back and done the direct comparison recently at all.
Mhm.
So while Going Commando is my favorite Ratchet and Clank game, can I definitively call it better than Rift Apart? No. He did that, not me.
But then again, this is why the childhood memory part is more. I'm focusing on Tavin because of that
I
example.
can give you my opinion on Rift Apart and why I think it's there. I've not done.
Yeah, please do.
Rift Apart's best
I
quality
think Rift Apart is a better narrative.
Not hard.
I don't agree.
What?
The problem is that Rift Apart's writing in its latter half is super weak. Very, 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 very weak. And the writing in the first half isn't that strong either, but it's better than this. But it's because the second half is so weak that it falls short. And because Rift Apart puts more of a focus on its narrative than Going Commando does, when it fails harder. Like you lose. Going Commando doesn't lose that many points for not having a focus on narrative to me. That's not what your objective was in creating your thing. Rift Apart, that was part of your objective, was to tell a narrative, and you failed, in my opinion, right? Don't get me wrong, I still like the characters in that game. I like Emperor Nefarious more than Dr. Nefarious. I like Rivet and Kit. I want a Rivet and Kit game, so on and so forth, right? The strength of the characters is there, but the writing and how their arcs are executed, I think, is quite weak. On top of that, Rift Apart's biggest strength is probably how modern it is in controls in comparison to this. However, I feel like the uniqueness of the weapons plays better in a game like this, where it's like that weird mix between third-person shooter and platformer with the strafing and the flipping around and jumping like that. There is still jumping and flipping around, but it's so focused on the aiming reticle, like most modern third-person shooters are, that I think you lose something gameplay-wise by making that choice. And on top of that, I think a lot of the shooting is from a modern standard, because it's a modern game, so I can hold it to modern standards. There's a stiffness in Rift Apart that I wish wasn't there. I'm sorry that I spit. I'm sorry if that landed on you.
I didn't feel it.
There's a stiffness in Rift Apart that I wish wasn't there. I wish it was a smoother playing gameplay experience than that. All of that to say, if you're gonna compare it direct 1-to-1, yeah, the game that's 20 years newer plays better. But I think, with the lens of the times, not my childhood, the times, there is something special here that has been lost to time because we have thrown it away in view of classic third-person shooting mechanics, which for a game like Ratchet and Clank, I think takes something away. I think a modern Jak and Daxter would benefit more from that than Ratchet does.
I would love a modern Ratchet and Daxter.
I would rather.
What did I say?
You said Ratchet and
Daxter.
I would love a modern. Probably because modern. I would love a modern Jak and Daxter.
We're not getting that one.
I also like in the midst of all that. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
Please.
I remembered something I was going to mention because you mentioned how you don't like Fizzwidget saying the wrong words.
Oh no, I do like it. I think that's the the bulk of the comment.
He said that's the funniest part about the game.
Yeah.
You know why he's using the wrong words, right?
Because it's Quark.
Because it's Quark. Quark's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, it's very funny.
That was something I never picked up on as a kid, but this time through, I was like, oh, he's fucking his words up because he's Quark, and Quark is an idiot.
Yeah.
Got it.
He doesn't know the words. He knows what the words kind of sound like.
That's
I like it.
That's decent writing for what this package is offering.
I like it.
Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense.
Are you a fan of Angela Cross as a character?
No.
Okay.
A nothing burger character.
Okay.
And I know the fact that she's the same race as Ratchet, and just they seem like in Rift Apart, the other race is like a big deal.
Well,
it's like they've kind of forgotten.
Well, first off, not in the third game. She's not.
Oh, I imagine not.
Yeah,
That's why
not.
From how they talk about Rift Apart, I imagine she just left after this one.
Well, not only is she not in the third game, the PS3 trilogy is talking about how Ratchet is the only Lombax in the entire world.
They did it in the trilogy.
Huh?
They did it in the trilogy.
The whole trilogy, yeah.
The whole trilogy. Oh, I see.
It's like a big thing. It's stupid.
Yeah. Because it's like, hey, remember Angela? We're just going to ignore her?
Jesus.
I'll be honest.
Wait. Oh, funny thing. Did you ever notice that she doesn't have a tail?
Doesn't she? No, she doesn't. You're right. Yeah, she doesn't.
And that's why she's so clumsy.
Oh.
Because she doesn't have a tail. So balance.
Yeah.
Are we writing for the game a little bit?
No.
I think we might be writing for the game.
That was probably in like the like Bible. I forget the guy's name. That like essentially knows like the lore master essentially of Ratchet and Clank.
Interesting.
In regards to Angela,
I
can't remember what game it was in, but there was a thing in the credits for one of the games it's like we're sorry about Angela or something like that because like
You don't need to be sorry. She's not bad. She's
Also, Rift Apart doesn't have. Does Rift Apart have? It doesn't have space missions. It doesn't have.
No.
It's got an arena. It's not as good as the ones in these. Both
decent.
both arena. It's fine. Doesn't have hover bike races, right? They do the speed boost
you
things,
have like the hover
the little
shoes.
challenges. Oh, and then the Clank stuff in Rift Apart is awful. It's so
It's
bad.
not awful.
It's terrible.
I like this one more than I like the Rift Apart Clank stuff more than this
Going
one.
Commando.
That's absolutely insane.
That's not insane. That sounds like a pretty easy bar to clear
Yeah.
because the Clank parts aren't the
I
best.
think it's kind of cool.
I
Do you
agree
like-
with
do
you.
you like
It is an
Lemmings?
easy bar to clear.
Do you like Lemmings? The concept of Lemmings, like essentially, like I don't know if you've ever played a Lemmings game.
I have not.
Yeah, he doesn't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like the Lemmings.
Okay, well,
The
it's very
animal?
it's very similar to Lemmings. Well, Lemmings is like a
Yeah.
you
If
have to guide them to a spot. Well, you lose
Oh,
a
fuck.
bunch of them.
if Clank
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
if Clank is supposed to embody sort of like the puzzle part of the Ratchet and Clank games, it is the most bitch baby like I got to be brain dead to fail this puzzles in Rift Apart. Like
Well-
they are so underwhelming.
You can't fail the puzzles, but like in order to get some of the collectibles in it, you have to like rethink how you do them.
I didn't think you'd have to think. I don't think you have to think in those.
Bolts? Platinum bolts?
I forget
Whatever the
They
collectible
change.
is.
They
There's
change
a couple
the
of
blank bolt in every single game.
yeah. There's like
Gold bolt, titanium bolt, platinum bolt.
Yeah. It's that and like raritanium and stuff. Like
Yeah.
there's like a bunch of different. There's multiple currencies in Rift Apart. Well, I guess it's the same currencies, but they're used better in that one.
They do a fun little like multiverse reference in Rift Apart about how essentially like Ratchet's dad or like their like species was essentially like they figured out how to travel to other dimensions and they like report back. Like there's like a Sly Cooper reference.
Yeah. They make a bunch of things.
Yeah.
They went to the Sly Cooper universe.
I
Yeah.
think did they make a siphon filter reference too? I think.
There's a bunch like a whole
Yeah.
PlayStation catalog thing.
Yeah.
Enough about Rift Apart.
You made a point. You made a point with Dishonored. Listen, Dishonored at its best is a smarter game than this
Mhm.
for sure. Yeah, and there's great design in Dishonored. I just don't think I don't think Dishonored is as fun. I don't think Dishonored offers much narratively. I think it's like weird split morality system falls victim to the same type of morality that Infamous does, where it's just like
I just
this
think
doesn't really matter.
the cleverness and the good design stops at the levels for Dishonored.
I don't disagree.
I found them with the powers, with even enemy placement.
Yeah.
And different ways to tackle
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
But I would argue that's level design.
It levels tied into
It's
it.
tied into it. Yeah,
Of course.
Yeah.
But then everything is tied into level
Sure,
design.
like the powers, like would they be as good if and as memorable if the levels weren't designed as clever as they
Like,
were?
That's true, but again, you could say that same thing for the gameplay. With if you didn't have the progression of guns in Ratchet and Clank, we wouldn't be hyping it up as much. No, it's there, but you know,
I mean, sure, yeah, but like, I think the sword play in Dishonored is like, dude, it might be worse than Skyrim.
It's on the same level.
but
as
see,
Skyrim, yeah.
that's my issue with your comparison of that and how we've talked about Metal Gear Solid. Because if I came at Metal Gear Solid when we ranked each one and said, yeah, but then when you run through and gun them down and aim with the gun, it sucks. Because frankly, it does suck.
You mean
your goal?
my first hype playthrough?
Your goal is to just do that to get yourself out of situations and then go back to stealth. Dishonored is the exact same way. You're not supposed to be, dual. You can. You more so easily than about the same degree as difficulty as you can in Metal Gear Solid, but you're still supposed to detach from combat whenever you get the chance and go and hide and start the stealth over again.
Can I try and do this before you respond?
Sure.
I'm gonna try to respond for Tavin. I'm just gonna reiterate what he mentioned about how Metal Gear Solid's also saying something. Like it has something to say.
No,
to the point where even if you do play the games like that, it'll say something about how you're playing the games like that, and sometimes admonish you, talking about the river in Metal Gear Solid 3.
Yeah,
Like it'll say that you're doing it wrong, basically. Huh?
Yeah. Psycho Mantis.
Yeah, Psycho Mantis
Yeah.
also. Like this game has more. It does so much more with the medium of video games and how you interact with them that would, in my mind, I don't. And at the time, your mind into elevating it.
but that element of Metal Gear Solid of like you're killing people has always been the weakest element of its narrative and
Yeah.
its theme. So I don't think
Sure.
I don't think that justifies having weaker combat, and then also ignoring
I don't
playing
think
like
it's
that as if someone were to play like that, you would say you don't have a proper opinion on Metal Gear Solid. You just wouldn't say that. You would say you have to go play the stealth segments. You have to at least do a melding of the two rather than just focus on combat. And to say that Dishonored is inferior because the way that you're not supposed to play the game isn't as satisfying as other games that are made to play a certain way, it just doesn't make sense as a comparison.
I think the difference for me, and this is where I was going to go, but Phil's absolutely right with everything he said. But the difference for me is Metal Gear Solid does a better job of depowering the player, emphasizing running away and hiding, than Dishonored does. Dishonored powers the player up so that when shit does hit the fan, it's the type of stealth game that goes, all right, fuck it, everybody dies. Unless you're really trying to do the non-lethal thing. And then I think the player is more incentivized to save scum than they are to run away and hide.
That's actually a really good point. Yeah.
But I found that something like Blink and the Rats, they're a way to stall combat very easily and then escape. And it was always a much easier way to deal with enemies.
Sure. But it's a
That's where the powers come
it's
in.
a more effective and I think more enjoyable way to just go, all right, fucking, I'm killing everything.
But even the powers don't lend themselves to
Whereas
that kind
like
of content.
In comparison, Metal Gear Solid, they flood you with enemies. They don't stop. You can't win a gunfight. Because you're not supposed to. You're not going to.
Yeah.
Whereas like
But that's because the enemies are coming at you over and over, not because the gameplay is lending itself to that.
I mean,
but the
sure,
gameplay
but
of
it's
Dishonored lends itself to you being able to eventually win that gunfight.
12-year difference between them two.
I mean, you said gunfight. You mean just like
Or
fights?
yeah, you know what I mean. That
Yeah.
combat encounter, which is quite literally not the way you're supposed to play a Metal Gear Solid game, which is essentially why they don't allow you to win that gunfight or whatever fight.
But that's my point with that. You're not supposed to really play that as Dishonored either. You're supposed
Not
to
for
be
fun.
stealth.
Not for nothing. There's not a way to play Ratchet and Clank wrong. There's a way to play Dishonored wrong.
That's true, but I don't think that really matters because
There's
it's usually on the
whole, like,
player.
skill
I'm not
points.
putting a lot
There's
of stock in that argument.
Yeah.
There's whole like skill points tied to running through places with using only the wrench.
That is true. It wouldn't be so great, but
I'm saying
You also
But
unlock
that's
different
not-
skins and stuff, dude.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a. I must have known,
I
but
saw
forgot.
I saw you walking around in your fucking underpants.
Oh, there was that. There was that, but there's a clown outfit that I was running around in where Ratchet's a clown, and so forth. So that was a lot of fun. And then big head mode and stuff like that.
It'd be
Like,
really funny. It's only tied to the clown aspect. It'd be really funny if there was a skin that was actually released by Team Cherry that put the little Hollow Knight guy in the clown outfit. 'Cause, there's the
Oh
whole,
yeah,
like,
yeah, that
the
would
image
have
that
been
people
good. That
make.
would have been
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also don't think not every Dishonored level's great.
I can't really think of any bad ones. Whereas
The
level
more,
design
like-
with Ratchet and Clank, you can find some bad ones.
Yeah, for sure. I think the more rundown, swampy level after Corvo is betrayed and he goes to that place where the other hunters are. I don't like that level. That level,
Yeah.
I think that level's poorly designed, and to then include the hardest and smartest enemies in the game in that level really holds it back from being enjoyable to me. I think the way back to I forget what the name of the city is. On the way back to the city, and they've got that weird tram thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
It's the dudes with the big walkers everywhere. I hate that part of the game
Isn't it
too.
it's like Providence or something?
I don't think that
The names are weird on the level, so it's kind of hard to
Dunwall
remember.
City. Dunwall City.
Dunwall.
There it is. Final level's pretty good, but it's not the best. I think all of the best levels are early Dishonored. And so if we're talking about, I think where Dishonored wins is how smart it is, but it's in terms of level to levels. In terms of I like this level, I don't like this level. Not a huge disparity between Ratchet going Commando and Dishonored.
But the levels are way more elevated when they are good, whereas Ratchet and Clank,
I agree.
kind of a ceiling. There's much more a lower ceiling.
I agree, and this is unfortunately where fun carries the rest of the conversation. And Ratchet's more fun.
And that's the thing. It's we're not putting it 5 spots above it. It's
And-
just one spot.
See, it's that fun element because it's not. Dishonored's just objectively not less fun than Ratchet and Clank is.
It is.
It's
Less
just not. This will probably be. You know what? I've maybe
I
changed my
think
mind.
it
This
is.
is going to be the game I'll disagree with the ranking the most out of this list, but it's not offensive.
What was the one before this that you disagreed the most with?
Not really any. I couldn't really think of one where I was like, "Fuck that one." Not there's no
Not-
Breath of the Wild tab.
Well, at least, I was gonna say at least you don't have a 20-point difference.
Yeah, I know,
Like, and
Avoid
what
that one.
sucks, I like Tears of the Kingdom way better. I'm gonna rank it lower than Breath of the Wild because I don't think either of those games are as
Well,
good as
you don't have to worry about it. I mean, you're not going to have to worry about your vote mattering. So
Don't worry, Tavin.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, Ratchet and Clank Going Commando is the new number 15.
you can just peace out of the podcast that day. You know.
I like that game though. I like that one. I would still probably put Resident Evil multiple spots higher.
Because that's the other egregious thing from your perspective. Because I've talked before about how I think we should play Resident Evil again to fix my mistake, but also because we didn't play both campaigns.
I'll remind you, your dumbass voted it underneath Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
And
So
you don't even like that one.
no.
There
Crazy.
we go. Ladies and gentlemen, let us know how you feel about the ranking, where it should go. What is the most egregious placement? Go ahead.
I was like, but you didn't tell what we're playing. The next game.
Well, it was decided last
Yeah.
month, but we're gonna get to it. Let us know your opinions of Ratchet and Clank Going Commando, and join us again. Make sure you like and subscribe. Yes.
Well, you didn't say that it was officially done. That it is.
I said
the
it
new
number
15.
the new number 15.
I missed that.
We're so great at outros here, guys. Next month, we are playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4, the remakes of the two games. So make sure you're playing alongside with us. And then, of course, the game after that will be Phil's pick, technically again, but, it'll be Phil's pick again on that. So that'll be very exciting. So make sure you like, subscribe, and join us on this journey. This is a very, very fun and sometimes contentious. This was more contentious than I thought it was going to be.
For sure. We went an extra 30 minutes on the
dude, because fucking he wanted to go 15 minutes on fucking
talking
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Like,
for some reason,
fucking,
yeah.
what are we talking about here? Anyways, until next time, have a great time, and gentlemen, say goodbye to the people.
No.
Thwip.